Valdik, so we are a new week. Shavuot Chizzuk from Chassidus, we're back to our regular time. Hopefully soon we're going to see more and more Yidden in the Shtibel and the family minyan. Thank you for hosting. And it's an opportunity to bring Torah to Pitum Torah. It's a special part of a frat in Eretz HaKodesh. And I was just this Erev Shabbos by the Eitam with Dov Kram, and we were looking around at the area there, speaking to the people who are responsible, and we're looking at maybe even making a festival, Eli Nishmas Tom Shifur, a big festival there. Can fit 500 to 1,000 people, hopefully, and we just need to get the assurim from the Matnas. And interestingly, I saw today that the mayor of Efrat was there. Dov, was his name? Dubi Shifler. So he was there, and Baruch Hashem. So we see there's Hashgacha Pratis, and we can hopefully bring a nice group of artists there as well. Right, tomorrow I'm going to be speaking to Florida about bringing a bunch of artists there as well. You know, there's opportunities. I mean, bringing Jews together is part of what we're learning about in Tanya, is bringing more of the Or Ein Sof, more of the infinite light of Hashem. And one of the most biggest ways to do that is through bringing together Jews doing mitzvahs and singing. And we spoke at Shir David yesterday, and before Musaf, in front of it wasn't as full as it usually is, but there's at least a few hundred people. It felt like that anyway. And we're speaking in front of Nishmas Yisrael, and we're learning Torah. And we have to realize that when I was learning with them, I mentioned a few points. One thing I didn't remember to mention, because a year ago I actually did mention it, so maybe that was enough that a year ago it was brought up, so maybe they'll remember themselves. But at Parshas Akev and Re'eh, which is where we're at, Re'eh is an opportunity, especially this Shabbos, Shabbos V'varachim, to really get ready for the new year. Right now we're Tavshin Pei Hey, but this Shabbos coming up is the only Shabbos V'varachim before we get to Tavshin Pei Vav. So there's no Shabbos V'varachim in Chodesh Elul for Chodesh Tishrei. So it doesn't have one. So the Tzaddikim say the secret is that from Tu B'Av and all the way through, these Parshas are really with the Parshas of Tefillin and the Parshas of Krishma and the Parshas of... There's a lot of holy things going on. That's the Dibros that we're going to get on Yom Kippur. There's a lot of preparation through these 7 Shabbos of Nechama, of comfort, and it's 50 days. It's all preparing towards Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and Sukkot, and it has in it, especially the Shabbos, all the Kedusha of the time, the year to come. So by learning right now, and preparing this week, and using the opportunities of, even though it's considered Chofish or Ben Azman or whatever people call it, but to use it to prepare yourself spiritually to be a vessel for the blessings that's coming. Rei Anochi, Hashem's wanting to give us bracha, and He doesn't want to give us the other stuff. He wants to give us only good. So we have to build the kelim. That's a big part of it. So Minah Shemayim, we're going to look a little bit into Tanya, and it's Torah 37, chapter 37, and lessons in Tanya, page 490, and the Tanya summary. We mentioned about the Nefesh Bahamas. Remember, we talked about learning with energy and strength and power. So now we're going to do something which is unbelievable, once again, Hashgacha, because last week was Eikev, was serving Hashem with all your heart. And that's what I also spoke about Shir David. Serving Hashem with all your heart, with your heart level. Having the Esed Dibros go within, the Luchas Libecha. Internalizing the Torah, making it Kavir Salev, fixing it in your heart, fixing your time for learning like we're doing now. But this week, look what happens. Parshas Re'eh comes the Tanya, and we're talking about food. Yeah, Yidden loved food, drink. Yeah, what's the famous statement about Am Yisrael? People want to kill us, which is an unfortunate recurrence in history. We somehow fast, we scream to Hashem. Hashem saves us, and what do? We eat and we drink. We have a little party afterwards. Us Jews are professional, making sudas and kiddushim and farbrengens and tikkunim and all the special different things we do with food and drink, professional in our eating and our kashrus. So Parshas Re'eh is talking about kashrus. It's talking about how a Jew should eat and drink, and then it has also the Simchas Yom Tov is in this week's Parsha. V'samachta v'chargech v'yisa ach sameach. It's very important to know that the Pesach Etz Yadecha is the same inyan of bringing down Panasa, is connected to the Simcha of Ach Sameach, is the same Sof Tevis of Chatach, which is the shame of Panasa. So you want to bring down Panasa, Ach Sameach, just be B'Simcha. Ha'isa Ach Sameach. That has the koch, the same as Pesach Hasidecha. They're constantly being sameach of a chag and sameach with food and drink. We're going to see here that this is what we're going to learn about. The Nefesh Bahamis is energized by the food and the drink that Jews ingest. This means that all the life force within all this food and drink also ascends to Kedusha and act to the mitzvah. This is the bigger picture that we're learning in these parak. It's a small little shtickle in the Tanya, but it's a lot of deep concepts that we have to learn about. That the animal soul can be elevated through the eating and drinking and can be absorbed into Kedusha. This is what we're trying to do, elevate this world. When we do an Avera, the Nefesh Bahamis becomes trapped within the Gimel Klippos Tameis. That's those three shells that are impure that we can't elevate, unfortunately. I mean, there is an Inyan, I'll tell you. I heard from Tzaddikim and Moshe Wilson. I sang one of his Nagunim, Min Shemayim, at the end of the shir. When I spoke yesterday, I started singing the pasuk from Yeshaya of Ki Nachem Hashem Sion. And then my son went to my Rebbe and he sang the same song. So he phoned me up and said, the Rebbe sang the song you were singing in Shul. So, and by the table, so on Shabbos. But anyway, Moshe Wilson, who brought down this niggin to me, Zatzal, he said a beautiful concept that really about tshuva, nafshi gala, when we say Nechadodi, we elevate the soul becomes elevated, that even the treif part that we ate, and this is a chiddush, it doesn't say this beferish in Tanya, but he learnt it out from Sfarim and brought it around these parts of Tanya, and I went through the whole of Tanya with Moshe Wilson online for the audios. So it said that when a Bat Tshuva does Tshuva, he's got treif inside of him. Yeah? So how can he serve Hashem with all this treif? Usually when someone's eating treif, they're not serving Hashem. Bat Tshuva now is after the fact, Like the last few times I ate, Hashem forgive me, I ate pork and I ate seafood, I got violently ill. But I ain't eating it. It was inside my body, it was absorbed in my guf. And then within a short time, I started putting tefillin on. With a short time, I was davening and learning and keeping Yiddishkeit and going to the mikveh and doing all the different halachas. And now serving Hashem with the energy, the chiyas, from those treif foods. So how can that be? Yeah, how can you elevate the unkosher food? It's stuck in the Gimel Klippos Tameis. It's stuck in these three forms of shells that cannot be elevated till Mashiach comes. So that's the point of Moshe was saying that Balat Tshuva are a little bit Ma'ain Mashiach coming. That we have a little bit ability to even elevate those parts as well. We've been talking about elevating, with the phones, with the idea of Klippos Noga or certain things that are in neutral ground like kosher food and stuff. But it could be even with the power of doing a real strong tshuva, we can even elevate and bring down the light of Mashiach before Mashiach comes. And that's hopefully about tshuva, if they're really sincere and really do it properly. They're bringing down an ore that's Mashiachdik. And that really was the command of the Baal Shem Tov, to set on fire Am Yisrael to the point where everything gets elevated. Even the negative stuff that we're caught up with gets elevated somehow. But based on learning Tanya, he's more focusing on, unfortunately, that the Klippos Noga energy of the world is trapped often. It's Matei Asurim. You have to release the Asurim. It takes a big avoda to release all that trapped energy, that trapped power. There's we see it. We see it as the Jewish people. There's portions of us trapped. They're called Tinuk Shenishba. I mean, there's a machlokas. Apparently, Yanuka says there is no Tinuk Shenishba. But there are other Tzaddikim say, the point is there's Jews that are lost amongst the nations. So, even though there's availability of all kinds of wisdom now, and you can Google everything in ChatGPT and every AI and have access to all the Torah, no matter how far away you are from Yiddishkeit, it's all available, but it doesn't mean you're really experiencing it. Like we spoke about last week, to walk into a shul where people of their Hashem day after day after day. That's not everywhere in the world. I wish it was, and thank God to Chabad there's ability to kosher food and learn some Torah, but to get the real shtaka, like the strong, like we were speaking about, with the big strong learning and the Madrigas about Tanya was talking about, the big levels, that's not going to be everywhere in the world. But remember, when you ask a Jew in America, what makes you Orthodox? I don't like these labels, but what would you say? It's keeping kosher, Shabbos, and Taras Mishpacha. Those are the three. And so kosher, kashrus, we're learning here, is a way of releasing and elevating the world. The Gimel Klippos Tameis are raised up by their being avoided. So that's the way Shmuel Diamond's bringing it down in this summary in Tanya. With the descent of the Or Ein Sof into the Klippos Noga of the world, the Gimel Klippos Tameis, who receive their nourishment Kedusha by way of Klippos Noga, will be swallowed up and nullified. So this, remember we said that Ein Sof, or Ein Sof, the infinite light, is going to come down into this world through us doing mitzvahs, and then all the fact that we're bringing so much infinite light of Hashem, then there's no room anymore for these shells, for these cover-ups, for these places of impurity. They all get swallowed up and nullified because they're not nurturing anymore from anything. Because there's no Jews eating treif anymore. There's no Jews doing Averis. There's no power. There's no one. Like, it's a scary thought to think about. But when there was the sirens today, one of the first things I think, personally, I mean that's my personal vote, and I'm not asking anyone else to think this way. But for me personally, I always say to myself, look, I haven't had the most pure thoughts today. Maybe it's my fault the siren went off and the people are throwing missiles at our people. If I need to do more tshuva, I need to work on myself. That's a hard thought that I have on myself. No, but there's some truth to it if you go into a siren, but I don't think that's a healthy thought for most people, and I wouldn't suggest it. But it's a thought I have because it is a truth in the Pneumis Svarim to understand that these forces that want to destroy us, they get their energy from our Averas. Yeah, the fact that in the holiest place in the world is the Ishmaelim, who have majority of znus, of like impurity. Like if you went to Gaza, you see there was whole houses filled with all kinds of znus. Yeah, and my own son saw with his eyes like the sex toys and all kinds of disgusting things you don't want to talk about on a podcast. So, and people did even make TikTok channels about the znus going on in Gaza, and it's not a pure. They dress very externally, the women and everything, but underneath it's the opposite. So the point is that they've covered up our holy place of connection with their impure place of connection. Sorry to say it. But how do they have the energy to do that? Who gives them the power? Hashem. And why? Because we're not yet done full tshuva. So if we really want to remove the impurity of their presence on our holy sites, we have to do tshuva. And then it'll be removed. We have to blow them up. There'll be ways they'll be removed spiritually, and they'll lose their energy to rule over these places. And you see, slowly, Jews are starting to go there more and more, and we're getting more and more shlita on different parts of Eretz Yisrael, Baruch Hashem. It's going in the right direction now. Yeah, I was just, as I said, I was at Eitam. I see how much inroads we're making. The plan is to go all the way from Efrat to Yerushalayim, and as Hashem, we will. And doing a festival, please God, will be part of us showing our strength, bringing Jews to and elevate. We're going to have a sukkah there. Beautiful, we're talking about sukkah's time. Have a beautiful big sukkah there, and everyone can make a bracha in a sukkah, and we'll have beautiful nigunim, and we'll do a dedication to Tom Shifur, elevate the whole place, yeah? With beautiful nigunim. We already had this concept. We'll have a big screen, and have Tom playing, and with Shlomo and all the chevra jamming along in real time with Tom. And we're just now working on which song would it be that we'd really want it to bring out Tom's energy the most and
bring down the healing.
Yeah, maybe that's what I said, but someone else said a different niggun. The book, Story of the. Yeah, that one. So it comes out of the entire purpose of Moshe Mashiach and Tchias HaMesim, namely the revelation of Ein Sof in the world is being achieved through the Jew doing mitzvah in the time of exile. So this is it. Us doing our mitzvahs, making this minyan and all the beautiful things you're doing over here. This is what is bringing Mashiach. This is what it's about. So what we need to do is just strengthen our munah in what we're doing. And this is Chassidus is helping us. Let's read it actually inside now. But it's only short. Zos od acheres. An additional mitzvah involving action aside from their function is elevating one's animal soul, as we already said before, through Torah and Revelation. Shakach nefesh chayonish mizbarbish ba'osis adibo and b'tam Torah or tefillah kiyotze behen or b'mitzvahs ma'asiyos, vitalizing soul's energy clothed in the utterance of letters of one speech in Torah, prayer or the like, or the energy clothed from mitzvah involving an action. Harikol gedulai v'chiyusa ma'adam. Now this is where it goes the other way. Well, before we were talking about the ruchnius, the learning, the davening. We're saying a shir now, and my mouth's moving, and the Balatanya's mouth's moving because we're learning his Torah, and we're all connecting into this whole spiritual realm through the act of Torah and Tefillah. But wait a minute, where's the energy for me to do that? It comes from what? Let's go back with it down to the physical aspect, the reality. The energy to do that goes out from what? From the dam, from the blood, from the physical energy, from the food we eat that turns into blood, and the drink we have that it nourishes our body, our nefesh bahamis, klipas noga mamish, which is of klipas noga itself. Remember this, the translucent shell, not the impure shells, the translucent shell. Meaning all the food and drink that one has eaten and drunk, and which have become blood. These are under the klipas noga. Now remember, klipas noga is not good or bad. It can be elevated. It has all this potential. It's energy. Now the question is, where is it going to go? Is it going to go towards Hashem, or is it going to go towards, God forbid, the other side? And that's what we as Jews are busy. That's why, you see how we're not scared of making a l'chaim. We're not scared of this world, of having a wife and relations, and we're not scared of these things. This is part of a Jewish life, a healthy Jewish life. Va'atahi is hafchus mara l'tov nechaz b'kedusha. A person performs a mitzvah, so you make a gofen under a chuppah, which is a mitzvah, or you make a kiddush on Shabbos, a mitzvah. The kalas b'kedusha is transformed from the klipa, from evil to good. This is very deep. By means of the energy, the animal soul that grows from it, which has now clothed itself in the letters of Torah and prayer in the performance of the mitzvah. So we have to realize, when Hashem made the world, He created it with the osius of Torah. There's a whole chapter in here, Shayich and Emunah, talks about it, the whole Indian of unification and Emunah of this world that was all created through the osius. Hashem constantly is creating the world through the osius of Torah. So Tzaddikim are at a level where when they're learning Torah, they're not just learning Torah, they're touching on the code of creation. And the code of creation is the osius, aleph base. So really you're tapping into really the chiyas, the real true energy behind the food and the drink is the letters of Kedusha within the food, the Torah. Inside each piece of food is Torah. Each drink has Torah. It has sparks of learning and understanding. And sometimes you don't even realize the stuff you're saying is coming because of the kind of food you just ate and the way you ate it. And it does influence us a lot. What we eat, how we eat, the brachas we make, and it does make an impact. That's why you see a whole parsha is dedicated to Parshas Re'eh, and previously in the Torah, because remember Mishnah Torah is a summary of the Torah, we had it in Sefer Vayikra, in Parshas Shmini, all the Indian of Kashrus. The idea where we see that the physical world has a chiyas and an energy, but within it, giving it that chiyas and that energy is the osis of Torah, which is the blueprint of how Hashem created all these things. So when you say Evan, it's Aleph base Nun, that's a stone, it's Av Ben. It's a deep thing, it's an eternal concept, because a stone doesn't just come and go like a lot of other things. It has a continuation. It stays in this world. So because it's like an Av and a Ben, a father and a son, constantly creating more and more and more. And that means it's stone in its essence. The letters that give it energy to exist as a stone have a deep secret of what it is. It's an Av Ben, it's an Evan. It's not just whatever. And you start to realize that the Dibur is the Dava. The speech, the Osius, is the thing. So the letters form the thing. Unlike any other language, Lashon HaKodesh, Torah, gives you insight to what really is. Why is it shulchan, a shulchan? Why is it a shulchan? Because shlach nun is shlichus of the nun to elevate these physical things, the learning, the davening, the eating, the drinking. It's a place of shlichus as a mission to elevate. It's a place, shulchan aruch, a spread out table. Yeah, that's what the halachas of Am Yisrael, because it's clear and it's spread out in front of us, and now we know what to do. It's aruch, it's organized in front of us on this place. Everything has meaning. It's not whatever. Yeah. So when you start to learn in this way, you start to realize there's tremendous koyach of Torah within everything. And asher hein hein penimis ratzoni yisbach bli shum hest upon him. Now what happens is a person starts to get to the level which actually constitutes an unveiled expression of the inner aspect of God's will. We're tuning into the inner aspect of God's will in everything. So the Balatanya was able to look at people and see letters, see who they really were in their essence. He was able to look at food and drink that way. He was able to look at time that way. There's all different forms of Shem Havayav, Hashem expressing himself in different ways, different times of day, different times of week, different times of months. This whole Menachem Av has a certain energy, and then Elul comes a certain energy, Ani L'Dodi V'Dodi Li, and it's a different energy in the world. And the tzaddikim were attuned with the energy of Hashem expression of how He's bringing down light, even each year. Everything, and it's a different way of living because you start to experience the inner light of creation rather than just how the media or the superficial world portrays itself. You start to see the inner, the real substance that's forming everything and the purpose of it. For the vitality is also absorbed into the blessed Ein Sof, which is His will. So now what happens by you doing the mitzvahs with those things, all those, now you've broken that shell, kiviyach, as if, you no longer, there's no cover-up, and you revealed the truth that this thing is really Ein Sof, it's part of Hashem's one infinite light. And that's the truth of creation, and the Tzaddikim are constantly able to do that through their mitzvahs. Now for us, normal people, we're not so elevated to see all this spirituality going on, but what we can do is know that this is what's going on. We can learn about it. So at least we have the understanding that this is the truth of what's going on. And then we have a munah. You and me have a munah, which is in some ways, the Kotzker Rebbe says, a higher level than the Tzaddikim, because they got it revealed. So they're seeing it. They're on such a high level. For us, we have to work on it. We have to believe in it. It's not in front of our eyes. We have to really say, fine, there's this whole other voice in me or in the world saying this is all nonsense. What's going on here? You just eat the thing. It's just food and drink. Just drain me a cup of all this spirituality. But when we say, no, I really believe this. I believe that when I do a mitzvah, I'm elevating this food and drink. I'm bringing the light of Hashem's infinite light into the world. Now, do I see it? I'm not on that level. One day, will I see it? Yes. Good news. Mashiach comes, I will be part of that. That's why he said, in exile, when you're in exile, you're not seeing it, but by doing it, even in exile, when you don't see it, that is what builds the vessel for when Mashiach does come, as we learned last time, or 2 times ago. Then the infinite light can enter into everything, and we will merit to see it and experience it, be part of it, and we were part of that process of bringing it sooner and bringing it to a more revealed way for us in our own unique way that only I can do and only you can do and only this person can do. And we brought it to all the souls that are connected to our soul, so they all get elevated through us, and all these goyeshas and neshamas that are also connected to us suddenly get elevated through us, and we start to, and our whole journey in life starts elevated. Even that story you told us about Cindy Lau, but that whole experience suddenly gets elevated. That's the beautiful thing of a Jewish journey through this world. No matter what we ever did, there's no such thing as a wasteful moment, because ultimately we touched on sparks everywhere we went. Everywhere we went, there's osius, there's letters, everything wouldn't exist without it. So we experienced something profound in every place. Now it's just a matter of bringing out the truth of those places, the truth of Hashem in those experiences. So there's no such thing as a wasted experience. And that's once again, Baalei Tshuva, people like us who've been around in the world, we have a lot of experience, a lot of sparks within us, so we're still working out what was the real purpose of all those sparks, and how are we bringing them to Hashem? How are we revealing Hashem within those moments that we had as a young person or whatever? And it will be revealed, and it will make sense. We will laugh. It will be so funny when we see, wow, now I understand why I was at that concert. Now I understand why I was with that girl. Now I understand all those things. It was all revealing. I mean, I could tell you personally, I have some clarity on some of those things. Many of those relationships I had helped me open up my soul to the next level. So I don't feel like when I ate treif, I don't feel it was a wasted experience, because it actually, suddenly I got so ill from it that it sensitized me to want to come to Hashem. And it was like Hashem was taking over me in those days. It was a very powerful, profound experience to clarify that I have a Jewish soul. And the energy of the animal soul is like this, elevated and absorbed in Ein Sof. And we'll just end off with this. Thereby, and this is the good news, all of Klipa Noga, that means every kind of phone and car and every single thing that could be used for good or for bad, everything which constitutes the vitality of this physical world as a whole will ascend as well. And the question is, when will this all come about? And that's what we're going to get to next week. We're going to talk about it in Parsha Shoftim. Please God, when we're going to be already in Chodesh Elul. It's going to be Rosh Chodesh Elul, amazing. We're going to be already in a new Zman, a new time, and we'll talk about the neshamas of Am Yisrael. We have the ability through our Torah mitzvahs to in the Moshe Mashiach, to bring everything, and we're heading towards that. The end of the year, the end of exile, we're at the time where it's closest, and all the Tzaddikim said that everything's been done that's needed to be done. It's just a matter now of a few more mitzvahs, a few more actions of good. Be mamin of what we're doing right now is bringing down the light of Mashiach. We should see it soon in our days, and we'll be zocher to eat from the Suda Levosan and the Yaino shells. Shiva Meister's Bereishis is going to have the oldest wine, the most geschmackest wine. No rich person ever had such an old wine. and we're going to have the most amazing Sudas, Mashiach, Amen, V'Amen.